So the fake news, of which many of you are members, is trying to convince the public to have a recession. Let's have a recession. The United States is doing phenomenally well. But one thing I have to do is economically take on China, because China has been ripping us off for many years. President Clinton, President Bush, and President Obama and others should have done this long before me. My life would be much easier, although I enjoy doing it, but my life would be much easier if I just said, let China continue to rip off the United States, all right? It'd be much easier, but I can't do that. We are winning against China. They've lost 2.5 million jobs in a very short period of time. They want to make a deal. It's got to be a deal that's good for the United States. When they want to make a deal, probably we will make a deal. But if I didn't do that, and I'm not doing it, somebody said it's Trump's trade war. This isn't my trade war. This is a trade war that should have taken place a long time ago by a lot of other presidents. Over the last 5 or 6 years, China's made $500 billion. 500 billion. Ripped it out of the United States. And not only that, is take a look. Intellectual property theft. Add that to it. And add a lot of other things to it. So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. I am the chosen one. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning. Because we're the piggy bank. We're the one that all these countries, including the European Union, wants to rob and takes advantage of. European Union, $200 billion. China, more than $500 billion. Sorry, I was put here by people. I was put here by people to do a great job. And that's what I'm doing. And nobody's done a job like I've done. Now, would China rather wait for a little more than a year and try and get Sleepy Joe Biden to negotiate with instead of President Trump? Maybe, but I don't think so. You know why? They're losing too many jobs too fast. They had the worst year in 27 years, but I think it was actually 52 or 54 years. It's the worst year they've had in a half a century, and that's because of me. And I'm not proud of that, but you know what? They want to negotiate. And Sleepy Joe doesn't have a clue. Sleepy Joe said, oh, China's wonderful. Well, China is wonderful for China, but I'm wonderful for the USA.
Donald J. Drumph says he's the chosen one. This is what the scripture says. Isaiah chapter 44, verse 28. That saith of Cyrus, Koresh, meaning possess thou the furnace, he is my shepherd. This is figurative of a ruler, as often a Syrian or a Gentile, and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple thy foundation shall be laid. Now, this is speaking of thousands and thousands of years ago. But if you understand, we have regeneration, what the world might call in some cases reincarnation, where we come back again and again. And if you want to say that Donald J. Drumph, that is his original name, before it was changed by his grandfather, is Cyrus, then Cyrus, let him be. He possesses the furnace. The furnace is the United Snakes of America. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 1. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, to his anointed. This, in this case, is different from the anointed Yahushua Mashiach. This anointed means usually a consecrated person as a king, priest, or saint. And the saints are the Israelites. The priests were the Levites that are Israelites. And we all know that Israel had kings. In this case, as it said in the previous verse, it is like an Assyrian king, a Gentile king. Right? So it reads, thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden. Right hand is the symbol of power and strength, to subdue nations, to subdue the remainder of the Gentiles before him, before Cyrus. And I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. You see, there'll be no defense against what the Lord is going to do with Cyrus. So Cyrus means Koresh, or possess thou the furnace. So this is what Cyrus means, and we're going to take a look at what Donald means and Trump means and see the connection. Donald is from the Scottish Gaelic name, Domnall, meaning ruler of the world. Don't they say that the leader of the free world, don't they refer to that as euphemism, which is also the ruler of the free world? America is that nation. Now let's take a look at Trump. Trump means a great many things. We're going to concentrate on how this applies here. And this is a pagan thing dealing with this tarot card thing. All right. In a tarot pack, any of a special suit of 22 cards depicting symbolic and typical figures and scenes. And the dated informal meaning is a helpful or admirable person. And we know he's been helpful to his own people, right? And he's also German, right? He's been hiding his German ancestry. This goes back multiple generations in his family. Origin, early 16th century, which is the 1500s. Alteration of triumph, once used in card games in the same sense, and we are familiar with that. Now, the noun archaic meaning is a trumpet or a trumpet blast. Now, this is someone, and is he not always blasted off in his mouth? He's fulfilling his name meaning. Now, the origin of the word trump is Middle English from Old French trompe or trompe of Germanic origin, probably imitative. He's imitating someone. Well, in this case, we could say he's imitating Cyrus, in that he went to the state of Israel, the fake Jews, and said that Jerusalem is where he was going to move the American embassy, and that would be the capital. Now, we take a look at the Drumph family immigrant story. This is in history.com. We see his grandfather, Friedrich Drumph was his name. He kept his name, but when we get down to Fred Drumph, his son, he changed his name because he was doing business with Jewish people, and he was a German. So they changed their name to hide the fact that they were German. And then we see on the far right the present day son of Fred Drumph and grandson of Friedrich Drumph, Donald J. Drumph.
Born in an impoverished family, Friedrich Trumpf, or Frederick Trump, initially worked in a barber's shop. But he had heard of the land of milk and honey from his sister, who had already migrated to the United States. The boy, approaching adulthood, ran away, boarded a ship, and sought refuge with his sister's family in New York. 20 years later, he returned to Germany, only to fall in love with Elizabeth and marry her. The couple left for America, but Mrs. Elizabeth Trump was not impressed. In the voluminous archives of Germany's state of Rhineland-Palatinate, Franz Mayer, who heads the department, tells us the story.
Es war aber dann so, dass im Jahr 1902 eine Reise in die Heimat unternommen hat, dort eine Frau in seinem Heimatort kennengelernt und geheiratet hat. Mit dieser Frau ist wieder nach Amerika. Die Frau hat das Leben dort aber nicht so schön gefunden. Sie hat dort etwa 2 Jahre ausgehalten und hat dann offensichtlich den Wunsch geäußert, wieder nach Deutschland zurückzukehren. Und das war der Grund für Trump, mit seiner Frau zusammen dann 1904 nach Deutschland zu reisen und sich dort um die Wiedereinbürgerung zu bemühen.
But what was the real reason for the land of his birth to reject him?
Die Behörden in Bayern haben großen Wert darauf gelegt, dass Auswanderer sich ordnungsgemäß abmelden, sich eine Genehmigung einholen für die Auswanderung, vor allem dann, wenn sie noch keinen Militärdienst abgeleistet hatten. Wenn Leute ohne Genehmigung auswanderten, dann hatte das zur Folge, dass ihnen die Wiederansiedlung in Bayern nicht gestattet wurde. Damit wollte man eben die Leute abschrecken, ohne Genehmigung auszuwandern.
In other words, and by emigrating to the United States at age 16, young Frederick Trump had been a draft dodger. His repeated petitions for repatriation were dismissed and the couple sent back to the United States. The rest, as they say, is history. Bureau Report, WION.
Let's take a look at another fact check about Donald Drumph. We see that his family denied German heritage for years. This is an article written on 11/28/2017. Right, and the caption below on left, the text below on left says, just says Drumph's mom, wife born outside United States. So if you want to take a look at that, you can copy the link and go read that entire article. There's a lot of deception going on when you deal with Esau. And this is just proof of it, that this man is an Edomite. To sum it up, Donald J. Drumph, he's a Gentile ruler among the many Gentile rulers in this present evil world. Now let's get into some scripture about who the chosen actually are. You saw in those two verses, it never said Cyrus was chosen. Right? He was a shepherd and he was anointed, but he was not chosen. Now, if you want to use the definition where the person was chosen to do a certain task, yes, but in the scriptures, not chosen. This is what chosen is. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 1 and 6. We're going to verse 1 to know who we're talking about, and then we're going to go to verse 6. Verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Yisrael on this side Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the reed or Red Sea. Verse 7, for thou, you Israelites, art an holy people, a set apart people unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. The Lord Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. There's no getting around this. I can't say these Gentiles have taken the place of the Israelites. That is not true. We're going to take a look at 2 Ezra chapter 6, verses 53 to 56. Yisrael had at that time no place in the present world, and Yisrael today has no place in this present world. Verse 53. Upon the sixth day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creeping things. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him came we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. You see, it's a separation. And the people also whom thou hast chosen, of that line of Adam's seed. There's a wicked line and there's a righteous line. Continuing on, verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, this is Ezra, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes, made for the Israelites' sakes. As for the other people, those Gentiles, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. We're not done yet. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 7 to 10. This concerns the danger unto the believers, that is, the obedient Israelites. Verse 7. Unto you, you Israelites, therefore, which believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient of those Israelites, the stone which the builders disallowed, that stone is Yahushua Mashiach, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling. Yahushua Mashiach is a stone of stumbling. There's a lot of confusion over him. And a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the world, being disobedient. And there's 2/3 disobedient, and there's 1/3 prophesied to be obedient. Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8 and 9. Whereunto also they were appointed. See, people appointed to righteousness and obedience, and people appointed to unrighteousness and disobedience. The Most High does everything in twos, and sometimes those twos are the opposite. Hot, cold, left, right, up, down. All right, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy or set apart nation of 12 tribes, speaking of them, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who have called you, Israelites, out of darkness into his marvelous light through Hamashiach Yahushua, which in time past were not a people because we fell away, but are now the people of the Most High, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Because we aren't destroyed, we aren't killed. And looking forward to the mercy to be delivered from the destruction to come. Daniel chapter 7, verses 15 to 18. Daniel's vision of the last days, that is the obedient Israelites versus the Gentiles. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them of the angels that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me to know the interpretation of the things. Let's read it. What is the interpretation of those things? These great beasts, which are four kings. These are all Gentiles, which shall arise out of the earth amongst all the Gentiles, that is. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. This has not been accomplished for those people who think along the lines of preterism, and that meaning that all the prophecies have been fulfilled. That is not true. Now, the final scripture we're going to read is Revelation chapter 2, verses 26 to 27. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works, speaking of his law, unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, over the Gentiles. You see? And he shall rule them, the Israelites shall rule those Gentiles with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they, the heathen, the Gentiles, be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father Yahweh. And this is Yahushua Mashiach giving this word. I leave you in the most capable hands of the Most High Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua.